third and perhaps most crucial waymark on this way of life is a rhythm of prayer, work and recreation. The whole world cries out for the rhythm the Creator built into it, but which we have lost. Bible believers kept a daily rhythm of prayer, work and rest. Joshua called on the people to invoke God when they lay down and when they rose up. When they settled in a new land, it became good practice to pray morning, noon and night, as the writer of Psalm 55 tells us, and as Daniel demonstrated even when he lived in a prayerless culture. Jesus would have kept these 3 hours of prayer, for they were universally observed among Jews of his time. The early Christians continued this practice of daily prayer, as we learn from the Acts of the Apostles, and from records of the early church in the Roman Empire and in Ireland and Britain. But then it was lost. We seek to restore it. If we are in life's fast lane, this can seem impossible. It is, in fact, even more crucial. The Bible describes those who resist God's rhythms as stiff-necked. We won't resist the effort needed to dedicate spaces morning, noon and night. We will build in margins of contingency time, so that if some unavoidable duty intrudes, we swap rather than lose our dedicated prayer space. Why is this so important? Because without it, we get taken over by the incessant agendas of an ego-driven world. With it, we sustain a good work-life and body-mind balance. The community provides 4 prayer patterns for each day, for each Christian and each natural season. Some people fully use these or their church's liturgies. Others are more spontaneous but use these as a resource. Some memorize prayers and say them as they drive, jog or wash up. What about work? We welcome work as a gift from God. All humans resemble God in certain ways. It is our nature, like God's, to create. Work is a blessing of creation, not a result of human sin. In his parables, Jesus expects every human being to be a good steward of the earth, of their time and talents. Even if we are too young, too old, or unable to find paid work, we all have a responsibility to contribute something. The 1984 encyclical on human work of Pope John Paul II teaches that work is a God-given means of growth in the individual and in community. We all know that frequently work does not reflect these values and workplace conditions can be degrading. We do what is in our power to improve values and conditions. As far as possible, we do our work to God with a sense of responsibility towards those whose needs our work meets. We discuss with our soul friend how to get an appropriate balance between our paid work, voluntary work and household duties. We avoid overwork because it robs ourselves, others and God of the time we should give to them. What about recreation? The hours of rest and recreation are as valuable as the hours of prayer and work. The Lord Jesus reminds us that the Sabbath was made for humankind and not humankind for the Sabbath. In the Scriptures, even the land was given a Sabbath in the 7th year. The need for rest was built into creation. In Christian lands, where Sunday is the primary day of rest, we think through how best to keep it special. The heart of recreation is the power of love to create something in love. To develop our own creative capacities is not indulgence, If they are put at God's service, it is to obey our calling as co-creators. In the silence, remember that there are rhythms of human, church and natural life. Summer is a time for being outgoing. Winter is a time for storing. There is a time to be born and a time to grow, a time to explore and a time to build, a time to gather and a time to depart. Unless we recover the healthy rhythms of life, day and night, activity and stillness, we will gradually die. Reflect on these words of John O'Donoghue. Rhythm is the secret key to balance and belonging. You fall out of your rhythm when you settle for the mediocre as a refuge from the call. What are the spaces you need to set apart or protect for daily prayer or for embracing a season? What work or overactivity might you need to reorder or reinfuse? When did you last have fun? What creative seed inside you is lying dormant? What steps will you take to water it and help it to grow? May you restore a godly rhythm of prayer, work and recreation, and so be the glory of God, a human life lived to the full.